All right, what is up, guys? Welcome back. Evan Aldo here. So, obviously, all the markets came down a bit today. Yields are up. Couple things I want to talk about before we even get into Bitcoin right now that are kind of important to look at in this kind of situation. If we're trying to, wonder, whether or not Bitcoin is going to, recover from here or go down lower, maybe break down to 80K or whatever. So the first thing I want to look at is the the DXY. You have a bear div, forming on the 3-day. I would say it is a little bit more on the bear side. That's the thing here, and it's a pretty major point here. I think if we do break upward a bit more, it would be kind of like a double top back from September of 22. I would imagine as long as the Fed does not raise rates anymore, as long as they just stay flat with rates, this should not go above this level. And I think that yields should not go above their priors on the 30-year, the prior level right here that we saw back in October of 23. So that's the main thing I'm looking at right there. If we look at the Dixie some more, I would say overall it's a little bit more bearish, but there can be a bull case here. But I would think when you get to like your 2-week, look at that money flow downward. I gotta lean more bearish with this, and this would tell me that we're probably not going to break up all the way here. We're probably going to kind of continue to reject, and that's probably the high that we saw on January 2nd. Could we come up a little bit more while Bitcoin and everything else goes down a little bit more and then roll over? Yes, absolutely. Now the other thing I want to show you before we look at Bitcoin is the yields. So they all kind of follow each other, to a certain extent. The 30-year right here is up. Obviously, it made a higher high from April of last year, but I think as long as the Fed, maybe I'm wrong here, let me know down below in the comments, but as long as the Fed does not raise rates anymore, I don't think it's likely that it would go higher than this October of 2023 high right here. So, let's just look at what happened quickly in terms of money flow, it's the same thing as the DXY a little bit. I think inevitably that 2 week will bring you down here. Do we make, a double top, or do we, just roll over here? Hard to say a little bit, but again, I don't think we're going to kind of go above that area. Now, that was the high in October of 23 right there. Now, let's look at just want to compare this real quick. Dixie, the high was, we got to zoom out. The high was, I believe it was also around the same time, that October, September. What happened to that area to Bitcoin? What happened to that area to Bitcoin? Let's go to October of 23 right here. And then now, right, where was it? Right around here, September, October, that general area, we started to go good, parabolic, kind of as you went up to those areas. So maybe, just maybe, we're kind of repeating some situation like this. See, you had the red there, and then you consolidated for a bit. You got your green, and then you came up there. You had wicks upward, kind of symbolizing that green over there. We could zoom out a little bit. So you had that wick upward, you came back down. So it could be similar to that September area if we do, so let's say we come down a little bit more. Let's say this trigger wave on this daily, which it does kind of look somewhat likely, comes down a little bit more. And then what do we form here? What does everybody get excited over generally? A classic reverse head and shoulders, which I think is probably one of the least reliable, least reliable indications, least reliable technical analysis things. Usually they break upward from my experience. People would argue that they usually break it downward, but it's kind of such an old thing. Then you come down a little bit more. Let's say you come down in the coming days or something, in the next couple days, this week. And then from there into the end of January, you break back up to 120. Then maybe after that, you see a February correction back down to 80K or something. So there's that possibility. I know it is a lot to kind of throw at you guys down. We're going to come down a little bit more, then we're going up, It's like a roller coaster, which you generally kind of see in these areas in the 4-year cycle. You saw something kind of similar in January of 2021, a lot of volatility. So that's what we got to pay attention to. But as of right now, I'm not seeing anything that bad in Bitcoin. Your money flow is still good in the 3-day. 4-day, I think, was printing a green dot. It went away, but that could come back. Your high time frames would make me think that this pullback on the daily won't bring us much below 91K as of right now. If we lose 91K, then you're sadly probably going down to, test some of these areas. 80K would be a technical target if you do break downward. But as of right now, we're still kind of range bound, trying to jump up from where we are right now on Bitcoin. So, it's a little tough to say. You lost kind of that point that you wanted to hold at 98, but you're still in that range. So based on that daily, we'd have to go at 92K. Confirms in 21 hours, though. Maybe you get that pump up and that goes away, and then you kind of dodge that. Moving on to Ethereum. So the first thing I wanted to show you actually was on the 4-day. This still looks pretty good, which would make me think that we're not going to go down much lower than where we've gone down before. Now, what the market likes to do, especially with this daily trigger wave, is bring you down a little bit, maybe down to these lows, scare a lot of people away, and then once that happens, you get some wicks down, then you recover and keep going forward. That could absolutely be possible here, and that could bring us, back to 4,100. Those could be absolutely possible areas. Keep an eye on these trigger waves in the 6 hour, the 8 hour. These could be the next, really the 6 hour. That could be the next place to try to go long here. So, you got that money flow kind of coming up on some of these time frames. Right there. I do think this is kind of for, giving us an idea of what may happen here, bringing us up eventually, but I think you're going to see more testing of this 3,300 area. I don't think we've seen the full blood, but I think, what happens a lot of times is they get you out, and then, then what happens next? They scare a lot of people. A lot of people would short on that breakdown, and then thinking we're going out on 2,900, and then you get that bounce. So keep an eye on that. Again, this 3-day, I wouldn't count out this 3-day. It looks pretty bullish, and that could be still the case of hitting 4,800 potentially within the next few weeks into this month. So yeah, ETH versus Bitcoin, as long as we hold this area right here, which hopefully we will, we should be able to hold that. But it is, this thing only seems to go down, but we're finally getting to those areas. You got your money flow starting to look a little bit better, starting to maybe curve up a little bit in the 2-week. 3-week, the money flow is still downwards. So yeah, I think it's a big place for ETH. 23 days to confirm this monthly kind of snake eyes green dot here. So I think you're going to hold these lows. I think you've bottomed out, but we'll see what happens. I still think you have. And then trigger wave forming right here on Solana. So I still, 21 hours to confirm. I would still hold that more bullish case, potentially holding the spiral line, bringing you back up to 266. That would be similar to ETH. Maybe we get some more wicks down under the spiral line, then recover or bounce off of 188. So these are big areas to look at. But if we do lose 188, lose this big area over here, then you're probably coming back down to like 153, those kind of areas. AVAX, similar to a lot of other things, VWAP trend, money flow not too good, but VWAP trying to come up on that 5-day. Same thing here, VWAP coming up on that 4-day, which is decent. And then trigger wave kind of on the daily right there. And then, just trying to think right here. Trigger wave kind of forming on the 5. So yeah, similar to ETH in that respect, hopefully holding this area, but it does look like you may test those lows. I think there could be some volatility here, but look, in these areas in the 4-year cycle, these are dip buying opportunities. Just looking at this, it's not that bad of a correction so far, 13%, but still, dip buying opportunities here. Polygon, that's almost forming, making higher lows and forming a reverse head and shoulders, which I think Polygon's pretty good here. I do think you will test this area eventually, 46, but you may get a nice bounce off of that. So that's what I'm kind of looking at on Polygon. Move on to Cardano. Oh yeah, the good time frame up here. First, green dot, not trigger wave, but green dot, money flow coming up, VWAP coming up, looking pretty good, potentially still giving us a potential target around high ones, almost $2 here, maybe even up to 220 by the end of the month. Still absolutely possible. We got a little bit of fear that we needed, and now we could potentially keep going. Again, though, I still think he's a good shot at testing 93, but I still think we can keep going. Last but not least, if you look at, Link here, reverse head and shoulders forming. If you can hold this area, maybe you retest that, or maybe we jump here. Keep an eye out for these trigger waves, especially on the 6 hour. Like I mentioned, that could be a really good potential long here. And if you guys are interested in making some trades, check out the links below. Really good promo, especially on BYDFI, the first link down below. You can get if you have a certain minimum number of trading volume, you could get a futures bonus that you can withdraw, a bonus that you can withdraw and potentially buy one of those items down below with it, which is really cool. And BYDFI, BloFin, 10% off your fees for life with the links down below. If you sign my links down below. And as always, guys, if you sign up to any of the exchanges down below, deposit at least $100 and open a support ticket in the Discord with your UID. I'll give you free access for 1 month to the VIP channels there, where you get TA from me, KMac, and Nightshade down below. A lot of really good stuff there. Trade entries, stop losses, take profits there. So a lot of really good potential things here. So yeah, guys, hope you guys got something out of this update. I'll see you guys soon. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Goodbye.